The clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 2927, relating to the agreement among the states to elect the president by national popular vote. A bill for an act relating to the agreement among the states to elect the president by national popular vote. Be it enacted by the people of the state of Oregon. Section 1. The agreement among the states to elect the president by national popular vote is hereby enacted into law and entered into on behalf of the state, with all other states legally joining in the compact in form substantially as follows. Article 1. Membership. Any state of the United States and the District of Columbia may become a member of this agreement by enacting this agreement. Article 2. Right of the people in member states to vote for president and vice president. Each member state shall conduct a statewide popular election for president and vice president of the United States. Article 3. Manner of appointing presidential electors in member states. Prior to the time set by law for the meeting and voting by the presidential electors, the chief election official of each member state shall determine the number of votes for each presidential slate in each state of the United States and in the District of Columbia in which votes have been cast in a statewide popular election, and shall add such votes together and produce a national popular vote total for each presidential state.
The question now arises upon third reading and final passage of House Bill 29. Oh, excuse me, she needs to continue.
Next page. The chief election official of each member state shall designate the presidential slate with the largest national popular vote total as the national popular vote winner. The presidential elector certifying official of each member state shall certify the appointment in that official's own state of the elector slate nominated in that state in association with the national popular vote winner. At least 6 days before the day fixed by law for the meeting and voting by the presidential electors, each member state shall make a final determination of the number of popular votes cast in the state for each presidential slate, and shall communicate an official statement of such determination within 24 hours to the chief election official of each other member state. The chief election official of each member state shall treat as conclusive an official statement containing the number of popular votes in a state for each presidential slate made by the day established by federal law for making a state's final determination conclusive as to the counting of electoral votes by Congress. In event of a tie for the national popular vote winner, the presidential elector certifying official of each member state shall certify the appointment of the elector slate nominated in association with the presidential slate receiving the largest number of popular votes within that official's own state.
Continued. If, for any reason, the number of presidential electors nominated in a member state in association with the national popular vote winner in less than or greater than the state's number of electoral votes, the presidential candidate on the presidential state that has been designated as the national popular vote winner shall have the power to nominate the presidential electors for that state, and that state's presidential elector certifying official shall certify the appointment of such nominees. The chief election official of each member state shall immediately release to the public all vote counts or statements of votes as they are determined or obtained. The articles shall govern the appointment of presidential electors in each member state in any year in which this agreement is, on July 20, in effect in states cumulatively possessing a majority of the electoral votes. Article 4. Other provisions. This agreement shall take effect when states cumulatively possessing a majority of the electoral votes have enacted this agreement in substantially the same form, and the enactments by such states have taken effect in each state. Any member state may withdraw from this agreement, except that a withdrawal occurring 6 months or less before the end of a president's term shall not become effective until a president or vice president shall have been qualified to serve the next term. The chief executive of each member state shall promptly notify the chief executive of all other states of when this agreement has been enacted and has taken effect in the official state, when the state has withdrawn from this agreement, and when this agreement takes effect generally. This agreement shall terminate if the Electoral College is abolished. If any provision of this agreement is held invalid, the remaining provisions shall not be for purpose of this agreement. Article 5 definitions for purposes of this agreement. Chief executive shall mean the governor of a state of the United States or the mayor of the District of Columbia. Elector slate shall mean a slate of candidates who have been nominated in a state for the position of presidential elector in association with a presidential slate. Chief election official shall mean the state official or body that is authorized to certify the total number of popular votes for each presidential slate. Presidential elector shall mean an elector for the president and vice president of the United States. Presidential elector certifying official shall mean the state official or body that is authorized to certify the appointment of the state's presidential electors. Presidential slate shall mean a slate of two persons, the first of whom has been nominated as a candidate for President of the United States, and the second of whom has been nominated as a candidate for Vice President of the United States, or any legal successors to such persons, regardless of whether both names appear on the ballot presented to the voter in a particular state. State shall mean a state of the United States and the District of Columbia, and statewide popular election shall mean a general election in which votes are cast for presidential slates by individual voters and counted on a statewide basis. End.
The question now arises upon third reading and final passage of House Bill 2927. Representative Keny-Guyer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I urge you to vote for House Bill 2927. Our country's electoral system of electing our president and vice president is flawed and outdated. It is time to replace it with a national popular vote. In 1789, our forefathers assumed voters could not learn about candidates outside their region due to limited communication. Thus, they felt they needed representation to cast those votes. Much has changed since then, particularly in the area of communication, and every political position is now elected with a majority of the popular vote, except for our president and vice president. The shortcomings of the current system of electing the president stem from the state winner-take-all laws. That is, state laws that award all of a state's electoral votes to the presidential candidate who receives the most popular votes in each separate state. Because of the winner-take-all rule, a candidate can win the presidency without winning the most popular votes nationwide. 5 of the president's 45 presidents have come into office without winning the most popular votes nationwide. Mr. Speaker, the Electoral College does not fit the we the people and one person, one vote style of government. Oregon's votes don't count as much in a presidential election as swing states. In fact, they don't really count at all. In 2016, candidates concentrated over 2/3 of their campaign visits and ad money in just 6 closely divided battleground states: Ohio, Florida, Virginia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Michigan, and 94% in just 12 states. No presidential candidate came to Oregon during the general election to campaign. Your vote and my vote in Oregon doesn't matter to presidential candidates because they have no reason to solicit votes in states such as Oregon, where the statewide outcome for president is a foregone conclusion. Republican presidential candidates write Oregon off, and Democratic candidates take Oregon for granted, so we are relegated to being a spectator state. Post-election implications of our current system are equally important. Battleground states receive 7% more federal grants than spectator states, twice as many presidential disaster declarations, waivers, and exemptions as in No Child Left Behind. While there's a lot of attention on the recent Democratic candidates who won the popular vote but lost the Electoral College, it can also go the other way. In 2004, a shift of less than 60,000 votes in Ohio would have defeated President Bush, despite his nationwide lead of over 3 million votes. For all of these reasons, I appreciate the many current and former Republican legislators who have sponsored and or voted for this legislation in 3 previous sessions. They joined the many bipartisan efforts here in Oregon and around the country to pass the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. Colleagues, you heard the description of it, but I'll just summarize. House Bill 2927 would enter Oregon into the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact, where our electoral votes would be cast to whichever candidate wins the national popular vote when and only when it is enacted by states possessing a majority of the electoral votes. That is, enough to elect a president, 270 electoral votes out of 538. Under the compact, the national popular vote winner would be the candidate who received the most popular votes from all 50 states and District of Columbia on Election Day. When the Electoral College meets in mid-December, the national popular vote winner would receive all of the electoral votes of the enacting states. To date, the bill has been enacted by state legislatures representing 165 electoral votes in 11 states and District of Columbia. The enacting states include 4 small jurisdictions, 3 medium-sized states, and 4 big states. The National Popular Vote Interstate Compact, when it secures enough votes to reach 270 electoral votes, would guarantee that every vote in every state will be politically relevant. I urge your support.